Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, May 13th, 2019. We will start our evening. We have a series of meetings tonight, and we are going to start with the regular meeting of Board of Park Commissioners. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Foster.
Here.
Commissioner Pelleton.
Here.
Commissioner Ovani is absent. Commissioner Shelley.
Here.
Commissioner Wolf.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. First on our agenda this evening is approval of minutes from the April 8th, 2019 regular meeting. May I have a motion?
Move to approve.
May I have it?
Second it.
Are there any comments or questions on these minutes?
I had one comment to add to what I said last time.
Okay. Which page are we?
We're on page 6 of 6.
Okay.
And we did, said Commissioner Anderson commented that the board needs to discuss the trees at community playfields before moving forward. Director Wilson added that he would speak with the village. In that request, I'd also ask that they do another drawing with it outside of where the trees are, and then have staff kind of tell us what impact that would have on what they're trying to do with the space.
Okay.
So that was what was missing.
Okay, that can be added. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, may we have the minutes approved with the addition of that comment?
Commissioner Abbott.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Foster.
Yes.
Commissioner Pelleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley.
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf.
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is approval of minutes from the April 8th, 2019 public hearing. May I have a-
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
A second.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions on those? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Foster.
Yes.
Commissioner Pelleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley.
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf.
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you. At this point of our meeting, we ask for any recognition of visitors that would like to address this board of any issues before we move on to installing the next board. Yes. Please state your name.
Mike Murdoch. I live at 939 Ramona Road.
Thank you.
And I feel like I'm doing this a bit out of place. I know that each of you are going to get a chance to talk a little bit about the outgoing commissioners, but this is the recognition of visitors portion. So again, I wouldn't normally start. I would like to come in later, but at any rate, I just wanted to thank each of the three of you for your service to our village and to our park district. As someone who has also been here in the past, I know how much time that it takes. I know what a tremendous commitment you have all shown, and I just wanted to tell you personally how much I appreciate all that you've done. Ryrie, I know that over the last 6 months we've gotten to know each other a little bit better. Really enjoyed getting to know you. Really enjoyed watching how you handled meetings. I remember a recent public meeting where a couple of the residents were standing here where I am, and they were confused, and there was some misinformation that was being shared, and you did such a great job of providing accurate information and kind of setting the record straight, and I hope that I will learn from you, and I hope that I'll be able to do same type of thing moving forward. So thank you very much. Stephanie, you know, if there was any way I could have made it happen, you'd still be sitting here. I would have loved to have seen you run again, and I'm going to be on you next year and the year after and the year after, and I hope that you will continue doing this again. If not, then hopefully I'll get you over at Michigan Shores, one way or another. So again, thank you as well. I'm going to save Shelley for last. So John is not here. I wish he were here. I think Shelley and I actually appointed John
Yes.
when he first stepped on. And John, served in so many different roles here and did so many great things. But one of the things that was most meaningful for me was something that technically wasn't part of the park district because he was so active in Elmwood Dunes. But he and so many other people in our town preserved that open space and worked tirelessly to make that the great space it is, and we have so little lakefront space here now. So I wanted to thank John in absentia, and I'm so disappointed that John isn't here because it's a little known fact that when we were on the board together, John was without a doubt the best dressed member of the park board, and I was the worst. And so I just wanted him to see me in a sport coat for once.
You do look good, Mike. Yeah.
And then Shelley, I so enjoyed serving with you. You had such an important perspective, and you really joined our board at such a critical time, because at the time there were no women on the board and there were no moms on the board. And I think back so many different issues that we worked through, issues with Centennial, issues with a lot of the sports programming and so forth. And we desperately needed your perspective, and you were there. And I'm so sad that we're not going to get to do this again, but maybe sometime in the future. So with that, I just wanted to thank each of the three of you. I know how much time you've spent. We're all very grateful, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of other wonderful things said later on, but I got to jump in first. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Is there anyone else that would like to address this board? Yes.
Hard act to follow. Good evening. My name's Nancy Hoying, and I'm co-president of the League of Women Voters of Wilmette. My fellow league members and I would like to thank all of the Board of Commissioners for their service and recognize the outgoing commissioners this evening, as well as to welcome the new commissioners being sworn in this evening. Helping our electorate to be informed is core to the mission of the league, and we were pleased with the attendance at the views of our candidate forums, as well as the distribution and total online views of our voter guide, which many of you and the new commissioners participated in. We believe having contested races and an informed electorate with an opportunity for our residents to vote for the candidate that is most aligned with their own values and the goals for the Park District is an essential part of our democracy. We at the League value good governance, the practice of civil discourse, intergovernmental cooperation, transparent government, and opportunities for continued public input, which continue to be core to our values. And we thank this board for demonstrating those values. We heard and continue to hear from our 190 active and engaged local members about issues that are of importance to them. We select annually a program of advocacy that aligns with the positions of our national and state leagues. In addition to good governance, our local advocacy work continues in the areas of gun violence prevention, environmental stewardship, and fair and affordable housing. We welcome the opportunity to work with all of you and others in our community to advance strategies which support these important issues. As this new park board gets sworn in tonight and begins its work, we invite you and the outgoing board commissioners to continue to meet with the league to get to know our membership and our priorities so we can all work together proactively in the best interests of our parks and our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address us? Yes.
Nucci, 3456 North Hamlin, Chicago, Illinois. I didn't realize there'd be so many people who were going to stand up to thank you, but I too wanted to come tonight and say thank you to the board members who are leaving and to the board at large. I just really appreciate the opportunity that you've afforded us to work together on the Gilson Beach project.
Could you just help people understand who you are? Because not everybody knows.
Andy Tanucci, 34. No. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Andy Tanucci of Woodhouse Tanucci Architects, working on the Gilson Beach project. And really, I could go on and on. Kathy helped me with individual stories for each of you that I could read, but I'll forego those to just again say thank you. It's really been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. There were a lot of Lakefront Committee meetings. You definitely hold the record for most meetings asking me to come to work with you on, but there was fun in each one of them, and I know that providing fun to all of your constituents is what you're in the business of, and I've loved helping you with it. So thank you again for the opportunity. I can't wait to see you down there at the beach. It's looking amazing. We'll frolic around in the waves, or we'll watch fireworks together. We'll see you down there. Thank you again.
Thanks,
Thank
Andy.
you. Anybody else? Going once, going twice? Okay. Next, we'll move on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business before this board? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Under new business, we have some resolutions commemorating the service of our outgoing commissioners. They're very wordy and lengthy, so I've asked our Executive Director Wilson to kind of summarize the highlights of those resolutions. So I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Before I do that, I was going to say all those wonderful things that those three individuals did, but just know, I know the time commitment, and I'm personally very, very thankful for all that you have done for this community, so thank you. So as far as the resolutions are concerned, there are 4 of them tonight for the 3 on that side of the table, and John, who's not here tonight. There's 6 paragraphs here. It is quite lengthy. It's your typical resolution where we say the word whereas way too often. And in the first 2 paragraphs, that's where it's very specific to each one of you. The first one outlines when you joined the board and all the various committees and offices that you held while on the board. The second one references all the various projects and different things that you were a part of while you were in office. And then the remaining paragraphs are very similar, so I'm going to just read those remaining 4 paragraphs and keep it general and refer to Commissioner, but know when I say Commissioner, your name is in that spot. So picking up in the start of paragraph 3, whereas Commissioner has been very responsible to the citizens of Wilmette with regard to their desires and concerns pertaining to Park District projects and has selflessly served to provide excellent Park District facilities and programs for the community. And whereas the Board of Park Commissioners and the community at large wish to recognize the excellent and dedicated services and accomplishments of Commissioner during his or her tenure on the Board of Commissioners of the Wilmette Park District. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the Wilmette Park District, on behalf of all Wilmette residents and the users of Wilmette Park District facilities, does hereby acknowledge and pay tribute to Commissioner for his or her contributions to parks and recreation in Wilmette, and that we express our sincere thanks and respect for him or her, and be it further resolved that a copy of this testimonial resolution shall be duly executed and included and preserved in the meeting minutes of the Board of Commissioners of the Wilmette Park District, and that the original of this resolution shall be presented to each one of you. Passed and approved this 13th day of May, 2019.
Thank you.
Here, here.
Now, with that, I move to approve Resolution 2019-R-3, a resolution commemorating the service of Stephanie M. Foster.
Second?
Thank you. I would love to say thank you to Stephanie for all of her hard work. She's been such a great addition, and I also wish that you all were staying, and especially Stephanie as well. She's been so thoughtful on this committee and has given us such great guidance and perspective when it comes to all the projects we've worked on. She's not afraid to stand up for what she knows is right and to do the right thing even when it's been hard, and I wish that I could do that as much as you've done that and have shown me. So I am so thankful for all your hard work on this board, and you will definitely be missed.
Thank you.
All right, with that, may we have a roll, unless anyone else would like to speak?
I have general comments later.
Okay. With that, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Foster?
I do this?
Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletin?
Maybe
I'm
you'd
wavering.
skip me.
Yes. Get back to you. Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Thank you. Next
Okay.
up, I move to approve Resolution 2019-R-4, a resolution commemorating the service of John J. Olvani.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Again, Commissioner Olvani couldn't be here this evening. He had some family travel that he's taking care of. But we also would like to thank him for all of his service. He served as president, vice president on numerous committees. He always pushed us to be better and kind of think of creative ways to come up with a solution. And he was such a hard worker when it came to everything on the Park District, and he will greatly be missed. Any other comments? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Foster?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletin?
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Thank you. Next up, I move to approve Resolution 2019-R-5, a resolution commemorating the service of Ryrie A. Pelletin.
I'll second.
Thank you. Again, we would like to thank Ryrie for his 4 long years of service, especially all the hard work he did on the Lakefront Committee, leading that charge, sitting through lots of long meetings, and just being so calm and taking in everybody's perspective and keeping us on task, keeping us on budget, and always giving a thoughtful response to everyone. We're so thankful to have you on this board, and we thank you for all your hard service and being here. You will definitely be missed.
Thank you.
Any other comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Foster?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletin?
I'm going to abstain.
You can't abstain. Come on, vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Resolution
Thank
passed.
you. Finally, I move to approve Resolution 2019-R-4. Oh, wait, that can't be right. Six, sorry. Resolution commemorating the service of Shelley S. Shelley.
Second.
Thank you. Again, we would like to thank Shelley for her work. She's been such a wonderful vice president. She's been such a great sounding board to me and to everyone on the committee and the board, and always had such great out-of-the-box solutions. Paddle tennis, I remember you're like, why do we have to have men's and women's rooms? Why can't they just be both? I mean, like, she always came up with great solutions to problems and always gave wonderful perspective, and has worked tirelessly on Lakefront and everything else she's done here, and we're just going to miss her so much. So thank you for all of your work.
And I'll make my general comment now for everybody who's leaving. I'm actually the newest member of the board. I was appointed 5 months after the election where Ryrie and Stephanie came in. And I have to say, they all welcomed me with open arms. I didn't know what I was getting into. If everybody remembers, that election was a tough election with the whole Lakefront referendum and stuff. Lots of divisions within the community, and none of that played out on the board. There were differences of opinion, but that was it. And I just appreciate the fact that everybody has treated this position with the respect it deserves, and everybody else on the board with the respect they deserve. So thank you.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Foster?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletin?
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Thank you very much for all of your service. We'll have printed resolutions that we'll present to you guys at another time. But thank you so much. With that being said, I move to adjourn Sendai. Do we need a roll call on that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much.
We get to take our
Bring in the
little
Latin.
Yeah, you can take your stuff with you. Grab it. For newly elected commissioners.
So I got to have our newly elected commissioners line up here, and I will come down there.
And I'll just remind everyone, this is Cecilia Clark, Julia Goebel, Mike Murdoch, and Todd Schischler.
All right.
All right, so if everyone would raise their right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Julia Goebel.
Having been elected to the office of Commissioner of the Park District of Wilmette, Illinois, in the County of Cook, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner according to the best of my ability. Congratulations. Let's get started.
Welcome, welcome.
All right.
We did it alphabetically, so.
At least for now.
Or by height.
Or by, yeah, or by height. That too. All right, so to start this off, this is our annual meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners. We will have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Abbott.
Still here.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Schischler.
Here.
Commissioner Murdoch.
Here.
Commissioner Goebel.
Here.
Commissioner Clark.
Here.
Commissioner Wolf.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the election of officers.
And at this point, I will take back over and entertain a motion for the nomination of the office of president.
I will move to nominate Amy Wolf as president.
And I will second.
Are there any comments?
Hold on. It's not your meeting right now.
I know,
Give-
I'm
give me
sorry,
my
I
moment.
forget.
All right, are there any other nominations for the office of president? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote on the motion to appoint Amy Wolf as the president of the Board of Park Commissioners. Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes,
The motion is approved. The meeting is yours again.
thank you. Next up is election of officers, vice president. May I have any motions for the office of vice president, please?
Yes, I move to nominate Gordon Anderson for the office of Vice President.
Thank you.
A second.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Or any other nominations for the office of vice president? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes,
Motion is approved.
thank you very much.
So-
This time, we're going to have...
We're actually going to play musical chairs
Sorry,
here.
we're going
real
to
quick.
switch with Gordon.
Okay, he gets it. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not.
You don't want to be front and center.
Oh, wait, you know what? I forgot he's on crutches. Let's not do
Okay,
that.
just stay where you are for now.
I can do it. It's a-
Okay,
I'll just call out the order.
okay. Next up is the appointment of officers and directors, and first is secretary. Let's see, I'm sorry, hold on.
Page 3 of your action list.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Oh, right here. Okay. I would move to approve the appointment of Steve Wilson for the office of secretary.
I'll second.
Are there any comments or questions? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Next, I move to approve the appointment of Libby Baker for the office of assistant secretary.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. I move to approve the appointment of Steve Holloway for the office of treasurer.
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
Any comments or questions? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Next up is the appointment of the Park District's legal counsel. I move to approve the appointment of Tressler LLP as Wilmette Park District's legal counsel.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
None.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Next up is the approval of the revised 2019 board meeting schedule. I think it was one meeting in October that was moved due to a school holiday, that we moved it to a different date. Because it was not a school holiday, it was a religious holiday that got, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, school holiday.
School holiday,
So what got moved?
yeah. So
It was originally scheduled and changed to due to the school holiday, but then we had to switch it again due to room availability.
Oh, okay.
So it's different than what
Got
was
it.
approved.
Okay. And it's in the
May.
packet, so everybody can see. I move to approve the revised 2019 board meeting schedule.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Does it work with everybody? May we
All
have
those in favor?
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. I think that is it for this meeting. Let me just double check.
Yep. Move to adjourn.
All right, I move to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to our next meeting. Thank you for having patience with us. At this time, we will be opening the public hearing of the Board of Park Commissioners to discuss stormwater retention at Thornwood Park. This meeting is already called to order since we don't need a roll call, right?
Nope.
Nope, okay. First on our agenda is communications and correspondence. I don't believe there were any in this packet regarding this.
No, and I literally received my first email on the topic about 45 minutes ago.
Okay, so that will be put
In a
on
future packet.
In a future packet, okay. Next up is recognition of, did any commissioners have any communications or correspondence regarding Thornwood Park?
Nope.
All right, we will move along to recognition of visitors. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address us regarding the stormwater at Thornwood Park? We're looking for ideas of how the park should be put back together. Any comments that you all would like to make to us now? Feel free to do so. Oh, yes, sir.
Please.
Please.
Oh, as just as a reminder, we ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes, and if you could come up and state your name and, okay, great.
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Sid Tepps, President of Wilmette Baseball Association, and I see a bunch of Wilmette baseball fans up here. Good. The most important part of our program is our House League program, even though we run baseball from April all the way through mid or end of October. And we have 2 requests. If construction can be delayed till after the House League season is over, which would be June 30th, July 1st. And secondly, if you can provide alternative fields for our 8 and 9-year-olds to play. I understand, too, that some of the other fields will be impacted, but if we're just talking about Thornwood today, that would help. After our House League, we have summer and we have fall baseball. And our participation in that is almost half of what our House League season is. So that's our 2 requests. And with the hope that the construction can start after our House League season, and what are the plans to reconstruct the field so the following year we can have baseball there.
Great,
Thank
thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, of course.
Is it specific to Thornwood that we delay, or that we simply need fields for you through July 1st? What is it you're asking? You're asking that Thornwood be delayed, or that alternative fields could be provided?
Both, please. Because if it's delayed through July 1st, that'll let us complete our House League season. Our summer season starts June 1st, actually, or June 15th, and runs concurrent. And then we have our Fall League program. I'm sorry, and I forgot, along with travel. So travel gives us other alternatives. I mean, there's less home games, but there's really a need to have another field for Thornwood, or other fields available for Thornwood.
So you're looking for both?
Yes.
Yeah.
Request
A delay
asking both.
and other
Yes.
fields in the last half of the
Yes.
summer. Okay.
I think I can help maybe clarify, the numbers in the House League are much greater than the rest of the year. So it's an easier puzzle to solve when looking for alternative fields after the House League concludes. So that's why they're asking for a delay in the construction so the House League can run its course. But we also need to figure out where we're going to put summer travel and fall ball.
Please, thank you.
You know, after the House League concludes, once the project continues, if that's the schedule we end up with.
And actually,
I don't know how sensitive we are to schedule with regard to Thornwood. It's not as sensitive as, say, community and other fields, but it's a village question, right? I mean, as much as it is to us.
Yeah, and we're going to work with the village to try and balance the construction season that works best for this type of project, but also all the different activities across all the different parks that'll be impacted by the different phases.
Okay.
And I have a question as well, because you're mentioning, you're raising this with regard to Thornwood, but if I recall from when my sons did the baseball, you also play at Hibbert and
Yes.
so is this request then for all three parks, or is it just?
Well, the impact on Hibbert will be less than Thornwood, obviously, and if, we'd have to see what our numbers are, if we can get by with one field for that year. I have a board meeting Thursday, we can discuss it in greater detail, but if you can provide a field that's available for the 10-year-olds as well, that would be great. But Thornwood seems to be the critical thing right now. And as one of my board members brought up just before this meeting started, it's really important for us to not miss a year for House League. We've been doing this since 1951.
Yeah.
What we figure with all the academies and other, if we lose a House League season, we may lose those kids forever. And those are all Wilmette residents.
Sure.
Sid, if I could also, just sort of following up on Cecilia's question. So what we're hearing you say is you're most concerned about Thornwood. Obviously, it could have an impact, but in terms of your program and the numbers at the different age levels, is Thornwood Park where you see the greatest need?
Well, that's where they're all starting, basically,
Of course,
Wilmette
right.
baseball.
I remember vividly.
So if they start there, hopefully they finish with us, even though we have intro at the school fields as well. But it does also impact Hibbert South, which is our 10-year-old field.
Yeah, and I think what I also maybe want to just help clarify, this is a hearing about Thornwood.
Right.
So I think Sid is here to address Thornwood. It doesn't mean they don't have concerns about the other parks.
Yes.
And I know there's fields available. I don't know if they can be reconstructed. I mean, we all know where they're at. I don't have to listen for you, but
Yeah, there's.
I think that might work out.
Yeah. We'll definitely,
And hope we get your support with that.
absolutely support and get.
Buddy ball stays at West Park, though.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry. If you'd like to address, if you can come up and address us. Oh, sure, come on up.
Sid, before you go, just, it's been a long time since I've coached over the Pinto teams over there.
Yes.
I have no idea what the fields are like. Is there anything, if you were to go out there today and say, I want something different out there, you and the board, this is your time to say,
I wasn't
I
prepared
need
for
bigger
that.
screens, or I need.
A drier spring, number one.
Wow.
Just,
Gets into the drainage, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is
Thanks.
Hi, Steve Bursell. I've actually been on the board since 1996, so almost as long as he has. But I just wanted to bring up a number. For Thornwood, we have typically over 200 families that are involved in that league, so that you'd be displacing that many baseball players. And as Sid said, that is probably the most important year, because if they leave and go elsewhere, and some do go play in Kenilworth, Winnetka, we don't want to lose those kids.
Yep.
And this Thornwood, I mean, you're taking the entire fields, the entire park. The other fields, it's a little bit less of a constraint, so.
Thank you. We'll
Thank you very
definitely
much.
work with staff and come up with some alternatives. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else that would like to address us regarding Thornwood?
All right.
Yes.
I really
Can you
like-
state your name, please?
Yes, I'm Nick Goebel, and I really like to sled. And I would like you to return the dirt to the hill up on Thornwood.
Uh-huh.
So then we can sled more with a bigger hill.
With a bigger hill.
All right.
Great idea. Thank you very much. Anybody else like to address us? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to our discussion portion of our meeting regarding Thornwood Park. I don't think there's a formal presentation, but if you want to.
There isn't. We do have the engineers
So if any
from the
commissioners would
village's
like to ask
project here, if
questions.
we have questions. But what you have on the screens before you and behind me is the image of the proposed Thornwood underground vault from prior presentations made by Christopher Burke engineers at both village meetings as well as prior Park District meetings. As you can see, there's a box outline that generally locates it in the southern part of the park, but it is a good portion of the park, and it would definitely impact both of the baseball fields there as well as the sledding hill. That's generally the thought process. I don't know if Mr. Olson from Christopher Burke has anything else he has prepared that he wants to say on the topic? Nope. All right. We've been talking about this for a while. So this is a slightly smaller vault than some of the other locations, 10.5 acre feet versus, I believe, Community Playfields was 18 acre feet. And the depth of the tank will be located about 2 to 3 feet below the surface of the park. So as you're walking, the tank will be about 2 to 3 feet below your feet. Once again, as with other locations, this is completely gravity fed. There is no concept of pumps. Therefore, there's going to be nothing located above ground. Everything will be subsurface when the project is complete. Using some of our discussions we've had about the duration of construction regarding community playfields, I'm thinking, and Darren, you give me the high sign, that we're looking at an 8 to 12 week window on a project like this particular site.
Put the vault in, yes.
Correct. Okay. So that is the actual construction period, and then obviously we need to reconstitute the park.
So I have a question. Are we looking at the base, the 10.5, or are we looking at the optimized, the 13.9? The optimized. Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. So that's
Which is the black outline versus the red
Okay.
outline.
So it makes it slightly larger.
How much area would be then impacted? That's the wall of the tank, so to speak, right? So we got to do a slope back, basically at a 1-to-1. How deep is the tank then to the bottom of the gravel base? 10 feet?
10 feet. Approximately 9 to 10 feet.
So we need, say, 15 feet beyond that. That would be the construction impact zone.
Oh, Darren, you want to come up so you can answer questions
we
and everyone can hear you?
People at home listening
right.
can hear you.
So the impacted area would be roughly another 15 feet outside of that would be impacted by construction.
That's correct. That would be a good estimate.
Can we support the weight of that hill, that sledding hill over these tanks?
Yes, we can. And if we know how big it's going to be, we can certainly make sure that's part of the design.
Okay. There be some trees impacted, although mostly it's in a ball field, so there's not too many trees in the ball field, but some trees, right?
Yes, there are trees there.
How many trees are we losing down the east side there then?
Well, the location of this, and again, like all of the vaults, nothing is finalized. In fact, the only design we have is really what you see there. We have completed a tree survey of the southern part of the park. There are roughly within this outline area between 50 and 75 trees. But again, it depends on which way we shift it, or a lot of things that are more dependent on what I would call final engineering.
50 to 75 trees?
So what can you do with 2 to 3 feet on top of a thing? I mean, how big a bush, tree, whatever, can you get on top? Or is there nothing I mean, is it all small stuff you have to put on top of that?
Landscaping options do we have?
Yeah, it would be primarily smaller ones that don't have a deep root mass, and that's what you'd be limited by, is the root system.
Yeah.
Darren, can you comment on the length and width of the space as outlined, and knowing this is tentative? Is there anything that can be done for depth to reduce the length and width of the storage?
That's a great question. So we, as Steve had indicated, we're letting the water come in and come out by gravity. So what we're limited by on a depth perspective, we can't go deeper than the existing storm sewer system that's underground, because if we go deeper than that, then we've got to pump the water back out to
And
that.
as stated, it's a gravity, not a pumping solution.
Correct. So we are maxed out on the depth that we can go with, which is why we've ended up with the footprint that we have.
What if we raise the field a couple of feet? Is that a possibility?
It is, but the other side of that is we can't go any deeper because we have to pump out, but if we make the top of this any higher,
And the water won't flow.
what happens is we're not storing the water before it impacts the residents.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're stuck with what Mother Nature has
So
given
what
us
is,
here.
what are the
Wait,
deltas
okay.
there in terms of the feet? Like 6 feet between the bottom and the top?
Yes, it's roughly just under 6 feet.
Okay, thanks, sorry.
Are there any other commissioners that have questions? Let's
I
go
do.
one at a time.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I just want to talk a little bit more about the construction. You give a range of 8 to 12 weeks. Can you talk a little bit about what the variables are? Because we obviously don't want to impact some of the programming, but we also don't want to have construction going on during the school year with a school just at the adjacent property.
So the biggest factor is going to be weather, really, as it is with all construction. They would have to come in, remove the existing facilities, strip off the topsoil, and then the time component is the excavation of the earth, because these vaults that go in, we need to remove the earth that's currently there. So it becomes a trucking operation of moving trucks through the park, loading them up, and getting them out. And then as that dirt is removed, we then put down the gravel base, and then trucks come in with the storage units and lay the storage units, and then put earth back on top, and then whatever restoration is required on top of that. So, I hate to say weather is the biggest factor, but you get a spring like we've had this spring, and you get not just days but weeks that you're out of pocket as far as construction, and that can really have an impact, a cascading impact on it. But other than weather, it becomes really a logistics and trucking exercise.
And there are more trucks going in and out of the site during the excavation phase? Is that correct?
Correct.
And
That'll
generally, what part of the 8 to 12 weeks will that be weather dependent?
It would be most of it. I think we would be moving, and again, this is very much of a final design and construction means and methods, so each contractor may decide to do it a little bit differently. But the trucks would be removing the dirt, and as they began removing the dirt, we'd probably have them starting to lay the base down as well.
Just thinking about children walking to school and so on. Okay, thank you.
And the dirt you're removing, that I'm assuming you'll reuse some of it? Where will that go in the meantime?
It would be stockpiled at the site, so we know that there's a certain amount of dirt that we can reuse, because we need that 2 to 3 foot on top of the vault. So they will know how much they can reuse. They'll find a place to stockpile that on site.
I was looking, trying to figure out where that was going to be.
Yeah, so they'll have to find a spot for that, and then as the vaults come in, they're placed, and then they would move that material back on top.
Any other, sorry. Any other
do.
questions from commissioners down here?
Much room for the...
Are there any limitations this would be underneath 2 baseball fields with kind of the poles that hold up, the netting and the bleachers or anything like that? Are there any limitations with that?
We certainly have to design around that, because
Okay.
those generally want to have a 42-inch concrete base that those are sitting in, and that would go through the vault. So we've done everything from mounting those on top of the vault with a flange.
Okay.
So there's a lot of
There's
options.
ways
Yeah,
to make
there's
that
ways to
work.
do it.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure that we get it put back.
Not to make too big a difference between Thornwood and other parks, but this is really a neighborhood park, and always, as we know, all of our parks are different, and they all kind of fit in within their neighborhood. So the landscaping here, I think the question of landscaping and getting some ideas about what the landscaping might be, I would like to see more.
Yes, I agree.
With regard to how the park would be restored, how the trees wouldn't be restored. I think the neighbors would probably appreciate that as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Brian. I think for all 3 of these parks, it'll be critical to have some sort of landscaping plan for after the fact.
Yeah, I think that's an ask from us with
Definitely.
the village, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good thought. And would it be difficult to put a sledding hill in? If we've got some wants out there for that, would that be?
We can design around that. We just have to make sure that the unit could handle the extra load, but I think we'll certainly have the dirt to do that.
We'll have the dirt, yeah.
Make it as tall as you would want. Yes, and I think really when you talk about the construction schedule, that's the other thing that drives the construction schedule is what goes in afterwards.
Right.
And so when we're talking about, a certain period of construction, that could get us to, the vaults in place, but the final landscaping and details could extend, well beyond that. So I just want to make sure people aren't thinking of, several months and everything's tidied up and,
Right.
we're playing baseball again. It will be a long restoration process after the initial construction.
Correct. And just so everybody is aware, the plan is to do one park at a time, so these wouldn't be overlapping or anything like that. So it'd be, get one done, then start the next one, so.
And this is the third one.
2022.
This would be the third, this is in rotation to be the third, yes, correct.
2022, right?
Something like, yeah, I think that sounds about right. All right, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Sorry, I just gotta go back to my other agenda. Any other discussion on the Thornwood Park? Hearing none, I move.
We have someone in the.
Oh, sorry, we've already missed our recognition of visitors portion. Oh, sure, come on up and give us your comments. If you could just keep it to 3 minutes, it'd be great.
I wasn't really
Hi.
planning to speak, so I don't
That's
have
okay.
anything official.
Could you just state your name and address?
I'm Sophie Candido, and I live at 1221 Colgate Street, so right up my back of my house backs up to Wilmette Park. So I have 2 young kids. They both go. One of them is still at Harper. They go through the park every day. They play out there with all of their friends. And so while we want a solution for all the stormwater damage, we're obviously concerned because it's going to impact us greatly over the next few years. So we do have some questions. I think one is about, I don't know if any of you were out recently with all the rain that we just had, but all of the back in front of the tennis courts there, that's all completely flooded. So whenever we get a big rainstorm, there's so much water out there. Our backyard fills with water as well. We're lucky we don't get any water drainage down into the basement. But I just have concerns about putting this in, literally in our backyard, and then this idea of the seepage, and then where does it go? Where does the water go?
Right, so it's a tank, it'll hold the water, it's not going to seep out into
Okay.
the underground, and then it'll hold the water until the sewer lines are kind of emptied out, and then it'll flow into the sewer line. So it's not going to be going out into the neighbors, it's taking all that water in.
So the water that sits on your streets
Yeah.
will sit in the tank and clear about the same duration. It'll clear relatively soon. Mr. Olson, within less than 24 hours, 12 hours?
That's correct.
So, and then, yeah, we're just trying to figure out exactly how far up to the back of our yard it will come, because we can't see that from the, or,
Any feel for how far off the eastern property line that line is drawn?
we're at the back of the sledding hill. So the sledding hill goes down into my
It's
backyard.
the east yellow line you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're right there.
No.
Steve, I don't, but I can certainly get back to you with that number.
So obviously, it's not just us. We've got neighbors.
Right, of course.
On either side of us. But it's all kids. That whole street is filled with young kids. So our other concern is, will this all be fenced in?
Yes.
These deep holes.
Yes,
We've got
definitely.
boys,
During
we've got tons of
construction.
boys and girls. But yeah, so that's obviously a concern as well. And then all of those trees were planted by our Boy Scout troops, for recognition of all the PTO presidents. They're all commemorative trees. They've been there for years. So again, anything we can do to save that or to replant them would really be appreciated. It's a beautiful area. That's why we chose to live there. And to think of it being demolished in front of our eyes is really heartbreaking. So whatever we can do to save it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And just so everyone knows, again, our goal is to make the parks even better when they're done, to make them more usable with the water that's currently sitting there, to be going into these tanks and have some mitigation, and to put trees back and make it better than it hopefully is right today. So.
And there's going to be a follow-up meeting, right?
And yes,
Thank you. Great
thank you.
lead-in. On May 22nd, I'll be in Thornwood Park at 6:30 in the evening. So anyone who has questions, I will hopefully have your answer by then. If not, feel free to call or email me before that, because Darren will get it to me tomorrow, I'm sure. And what we're going to be seeking at that meeting are thoughts about sled hills and trees and what we want the park to be when we put it all back together after the project. So I invite you and any of your friends and neighbors to join me that evening.
Can you also tag the corners like we did at community playfields? That was very helpful. Sure. Just so we can see what physically what the size is.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I move to adjourn this meeting to go into our regularly scheduled meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are moving on. All right. Yeah, sorry. All those that don't want to stay for this portion are feel free to. No. Thank you all for coming. Thanks. Okay. At this time, I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners, Monday, May 13th, 2019. May we have a roll call, please?
I don't think anyone's left, but just in case. Commissioner Abbott.
Bill here.
Commissioner Schisler.
Here.
Commissioner Murdoch. Here. Commissioner Goebel.
Here.
Commissioner Clark.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes,
Commissioner
here.
Wolf.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. First up is communications and correspondence.
We have 3 in the packet.
There were 3 in the packet, that is correct. One was a thank you from Cradles to Crayons regarding our participation, organization that we helped out. Another one was regarding the stormwater issues and the cottonwood trees at community playfields. And finally, the third was in regards to the trees at the community playfields as well. So,
I lied to you. There's 4.
oh, sorry. And one more
One more about the trees.
about the trees, about the cottonwood trees. So, again, something we will be discussing later in the meeting. Any other correspondence or communications to the board members?
Nope.
Okay. Hearing none, we will move along to recognition of visitors. Is there anyone that would like to address us this evening regarding anything that this board is working on? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sally Ann Garner, 1041 Ridge. I've lived in Wilmette since 1943.
Wow.
I've watched this community grow and develop. It's so wonderful to live here, and the Wilmette Park District has been a huge part of how it has grown. The Community Recreation Center in itself is an amazing organization. I can't figure out how they get everything done. But right now, there is a huge need for increase in the capacity of the after-school recreation program. So, for example, to register children for after-school starting next fall, registration opened on Tuesday, April 16 at 9 a.m. My daughter and her husband, with their jobs, knew they could not be on the phone at 9 a.m., so they asked me if I could register our granddaughter for after-school rec. I was there in person at 8:30 at the Community Recreation Center. I was number 10. At 9 o'clock, they opened up. I got to see a registrar at 7 minutes after the hour, and my granddaughter was waitlisted. So in the first 10 minutes, all of the spaces were taken up for after school. And again, Wilmette has changed and developed with the times, and there's just an immense need for the children of the working parents to have a place to go. And the Wilmette Park District after-school recreation program is the best. So 10 minutes. I was stunned. So I've been trying to learn more about this and consider alternatives. Steve was helpful. Other people on the staff have been trying to do their best. I'm just wondering if, I know the Community Recreation Center building is using every square inch, but I'm wondering if you can expand into the public schools for after-school recreation programs, or maybe St. Joe's and St. Francis, which are having some changes, and I think they might have some capacity. So I'm hoping there's somehow, some way that the capacity for the after-school program doesn't fill up in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is definitely something that I know staff is working on. There's an extensive wait list, and we would love to accommodate everybody, so they're working on solutions, so.
And I would just add, Mrs. Gardner, I'm familiar with this issue. I have had 2 children in the after-school rec program who were here a few minutes ago, and that's a frequent issue with working parents. I would also note that of the new families I see moving into the community, many have a need for aftercare. I can't speak to trends specifically, but it does seem that there are more dual income families. So I know the staff is committed to finding a solution. I'm sure they are also surprised at the speed at which it fills up each time. I do know personally that the wait list does move. So while there's hope, in addition to hope, I think there's an intention to improve.
Is there anyone else that would like to address us? Yes.
Good evening. Ron, 250 Vista Court, Wilmette. First, I would like to welcome all of you to the board. Nice to be here. As you'll see, I'm pretty active here, and oftentimes, like tonight, I bring issues that are regarding the entire community that have really not much to do with me. The first one, even though I'm a passionate sailor, I will not be here for the beginning of the season. I'm about to travel. The season should have started on Saturday, and it was postponed because of the construction. The road, and I've driven it down, seems pretty good to me, and I don't know why are we delaying the opening of the sailing beach. So please look into that and open it as soon as you can. And again, this time I will not be part of the ones that will enjoy it. I will come in a couple of weeks. So that's the first issue. The second is that I would like you to create some kind of a mechanism for responding to residents or non-residents that are coming in front of you. I'll give you an example. About a month ago, I was here and I raised an issue that last year the Park District paid $163,000 to a person, and I don't know this person personally, that is supposed to run the paddle tennis. I'm not sure even how many courts we have. I know it's not that many. $163,000 seems awfully high for that. And I know that this year they're getting paid, and don't quote me, maybe $9,000 a month. So I asked the board to look into it, but it's like sort of a black hole. Nobody got back to me. I have no idea where it's standing, if it goes to a committee. But I would like to know what happened with that. You know? So I would like to hear from you.
I have a question. So what specifically would you like to know?
Why are we paying so much money for that position? And it seems to me that something is off. So I would like you to verify if it's legit, you know?
Okay.
But it just seems off.
Okay.
So it may be legit, I don't know.
Okay. We can have staff look into it.
And Ronnie, just to let you know, we're in the middle of a full-out compensation study. We've hired outside consultants to review every single position within the Park District, compare it to other Park Districts, and make sure that our salaries are in range for similar positions. So when we have those results, we're going to know whether our compensation for our paddle pro is in line with similar paddle pros in the area.
That is ongoing.
Yes.
We expect those results in July.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address us? Okay, we'll be moving along to Executive Director's Report. Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of the voucher list. Sorry, I was skipping over. Sorry. Sorry. I got ahead of myself. Approval of the voucher list. May I have a motion?
All right. I'll move to approve, you know what, where's the language? You got it?
Second one there.
Can you work?
I move to approve the voucher list in the amount of $1,521,065.44, a copy of which will be attached to and become a permanent part of the minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the voucher list?
I have one question, if I can. And this is probably simple.
Can you let us know which page and? So we can
It's near, I think, the front.
The pages should be on the bottom.
Yeah, I'm actually.
No,
Okay,
I
maybe
put
not.
the packet
Sorry.
together.
Sorry. I'm like, usually there's numbers.
She's on the
Yes,
first
I have
page.
it, on the first page, yes,
Okay.
on the first page, about a third of the way. Now, there were several entries, the bathroom partition for Lakeview, there were several entries on that. Is that for the new?
No, those are within Lakeview Center. So that is renovations to the two sets of bathrooms within Lakeview Center.
Okay. I didn't realize, I didn't realize that the
But we are paying for
partitions-
contractors for the new project individually through the voucher list. So instead of one big payment to Olson, you will see payments to the various subcontractors.
What she's asking about isn't a part of that project.
Yeah, so
though,
I was
just
wondering if that
to
was
clarify.
Lakeview, and I didn't.
It is
okay,
Lakeview.
yeah. And you are changing,
Correct.
renovating the bathrooms there. All right, that was my
Any other
question.
questions?
I do see, I know Gordon had asked about it, this water reclamation district, that's the survey, payment for that. When this survey becomes available, I'm highly interested in seeing it.
Will do.
No comments. I'm glad that we're paying our part, and let's take a look at this thing.
Any other questions?
No, my questions were answered by Steve to all of us in an email, so.
In that case, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Voucher list is approved.
Thank you. Now we will move along to the executive director's
Sure.
report.
Very short and sweet. I didn't want to overwhelm anyone in their first meeting. So much of my report was about all the meetings we've had tonight. We don't have to rehash that. The second part of my report is, once again, the continuation of the stormwater meeting process. We have now completed 5 of 6, and the 6th one is the meeting that I referenced during the Thornwood Park public hearing on May 22nd in Thornwood Park, weather permitting. If it's a rainy night, we're going to move it to Malincrot and talk about Thornwood Park and the project and what people would like to see in the park when it's all said and done.
It has to be really, really rainy. I would really like to be there. I mean, that's all. So, yes, I get what you're saying. I'd love to see the park.
Okay. The only other parts on the report are the NSSRA Shining Stars Banquet North Suburban Special Rec Association. It's a cooperative of 13 North Shore communities to provide programming and assistance in our programs for individuals with disabilities. They hold an annual banquet each year. It's one of the most uplifting nights of the year in my world, and we were fortunate enough this year to receive their Partner Agency of the Year award, and we had a couple commissioners and a lot of staff join us, and it was a fun night for everybody, and it really was nice, and we very much appreciate being recognized in our part of that partnership at their banquet. So I wanted to report that to all of you. And then summer is coming, and so we're getting the facilities ready. The beach project is rapidly wrapping up. Jerry is busy down there. Superintendent Ulrich is busy down there working with all the construction teams, getting things squared away within the buildings, and we have started the paving process of the parking lot, as well as the installation of the brick pavers in the parking spots, and it's starting to look like a parking lot, and that's very encouraging. And we are to the point where, with all of that, we did have to delay the start of sailing because there were some concerns, articulated by the sailors about lack of parking at the end of last year when we started the project, since we didn't have parking available to them, and we told them in advance if we didn't have everything ready to go, we would delay the start of the season and offer refunds to the sailors. So we're going to do that. We'll calculate that when we determine the opening date, but with the paving having begun, that opening date is rapidly approaching. And other than that, getting ready for camp, getting the pools ready. They started filling the pools, and hopefully the weather will cooperate, as it looks like it should in the next couple days. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I would
Quick
just like...
question. Oh.
Got to say one thing really quickly. I would like to thank Steve and all of the staff at the Wilmette Park District for all of the hard work that they do for the NSSRA. It is no small feat to win the Partner Agency of the Year with them, and it goes without saying that our staff is so dedicated to every member of our community and beyond, and we thank you all for making us all look good, but for all the work you do with all of our residents and everybody that comes through our facilities and uses our program. So thank you to staff, and congratulations on the award for Partner Agency of the Year.
Thank you.
So, sorry, go ahead.
I would certainly echo that, but then I was going to ask Steve if it would be appropriate to mention the date of the foundation's party at the beach.
Please do, if you...
I was going to let you do it.
Okay. I see what you did there. So the Wilmette Foundation, a separate nonprofit entity that mission is to support what the Park District does and brings to the community, is hosting a Wilmette Beach Bash party on June 8th at 6 o'clock. Tickets are available on their website, wilmettefoundation.com, and it's Wilmette spelled O-U-I-L, not W-I-L. And tickets are $30. Already north of 200 tickets sold. A lot of big sponsors. Should be a good night. 2 live bands, food trucks, and an assortment of beverages available, a bonfire on the beach, and assorted activities for children if they so choose to join their parents, or if the parents decide to get a babysitter, it's also a fun night out for them. So that is a great night, and I encourage everyone to come on out and enjoy the new facility and enjoy a new, hopefully, annual event.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Mike.
Any other questions for Director Wilson? Thank you very much. We'll be moving along to committee reports. Some of our committees have not met this month. Some of our committee people have rolled off the board, so we'll have some other people giving the report. But we will start with the Lakefront Committee, and I believe Commissioner Abbott will be
Yes,
updating us
Lakefront
there.
Committee did meet last week. It was Commissioner Foster and Peloton's last official, well, I guess tonight was the last meeting, but they got to actually do some things. And I'm going to give the report instead of Commissioner Peloton. The staff down, as you know, we're wrapping up, staff is wrapping up the beachfront project. There has been a delay to the start of the sailing. It is still a construction zone. As Director Wilson said, sailing should open soon. We don't have a hard date. Sailors will be contacted. As for the opening of the lakefront, we're still looking to be, cross your fingers, on schedule, but there's been considerable weather delays, as we all know, and the weather delays continued last week. It has to be safe in order to open it. So even once we do open it, there will probably be some landscapers down there putting in some of the dune grasses and some of the smaller plants. That'll continue into June. But it looks great, and we're glad to see Andy Tanucci here tonight. It's been a delight to see these design concepts come to fruition. Otherwise, the staff made 101 contacts with regard to the mono hulls, and were able to fill up 50 spaces, so they've made good progress on the wait list. They've been reconfiguring some of the SUP racks down at the lakefront. We've got our annual grant for MIDPH for water testing, permits. We're getting a lot of permits being submitted, and also a lot of people looking for picnicking, making reservations for picnics. There's aquatics camps. At least at last week, there were 6 of the 8 were already full. Sailing lessons, 5 of the 12 are full. So it's we're almost in full swing here. And that's the lakefront update.
Thank you. Any questions for the Lakefront Committee person? Since the rest of the committee is no longer here. And just so everybody knows out there, we're doing our best to get it all done as quickly as possible. Again, weather dependent, and it's going to be great. And we will keep announcing and letting people know our progress to let everyone know when it will officially be opening.
It's exciting. Go look at it from the bluff.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a coloring book. They're just coloring it in now, and it's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. So, well, thank you very much. The Facilities and Operations Committee did not meet last month, so there's no report from them. In addition, the Parks and Recreation Committee did not meet. Again, no report. So we will move along to Golf Operations Committee. However, all three of those committee members are no longer here, so Executive Director Wilson will update us with the golf report.
Sure. So in April, we had snow twice, and the course was closed from April 14th to the 16th and the 27th to the 30th. Despite that, as well as typical April weather, we were up in rounds played in April 2019 as compared to both 2017 and 2018. So despite the snow, our improved starting conditions are bringing people out, and we're pretty excited about the signs of that. We did host a junior event that got cut short by a day due to the inclement weather, but they had a very successful event, and we actually had a 14-year-old, I want to say, got an albatross that's 3 under par on the par 5 17th hole, put a shot in from 230 yards. We believe it's the first albatross ever on that hole, both pre and post construction. So that's pretty exciting news. And a 15-year-old did it. We held our permanent tee time lottery. 33 groups in the lottery this year, down 7 from the year prior. And we're getting going on the season maintenance. We've done our green aerifications. We've completed drainage on about 7 different holes. We're planting flowers. We've done the work on our irrigation pump system. We have received new equipment and have gotten it ready and putting it in service, and we're ready to go. So that's the golf report.
Excellent.
I wanted to add something. I forgot. Our contingencies for the lakefront project, we are under budget by about 2% is what we anticipate. I wanted the board to know that.
Thank you. That's good news.
That's all.
Any questions for the golf report?
Golf person report.
I don't know what to say.
Steve, we're down from 40 to 33 in the foursomes.
In the permanent tee time foursomes, yes. And as you know, that's anyone who has a full-fledged unlimited membership or people who bought permanent tee times, which was new last year. Right. Our permanent tee time sales were flat to last year. We've dropped in some of our memberships because most of them have moved to weekday membership options. Therefore, they don't get the permanent tee time weekend option. What that does is it frees up more tee times for someone to book themselves without a standing tee time. And as you may recall, we changed the pricing of that and the way those are allocated. If you're an unlimited member, you can't book a tee time prior to noon because we're reserving those for more people to come out and pay and play at full rate. So we're expecting to backfill that revenue loss.
This was planned then, how this is playing out?
I don't think it's planned, but the plan mitigates the decrease in numbers much more significantly than it would have 3 years ago.
Okay.
And we have had a 25-year trend downwards.
I know, that's what
in permanent tee times because the way of the world, people can't commit to that, and that's why we've come up with our different options, our different business model. And last year, we held our permanent tee time numbers flat because of that. But you know, people are aging out and they're playing on the weekends because they're retired, and it's a better option for them. And that's kind of the service model we're getting into there, is trying to create as many options so as many people can find what works best for them so we can grow the pot as big as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. We'll move along to Financial Planning and Policy Committee.
All right, we did meet on Monday, April 22nd. We talked about a few things, one being the Village of Wilmette lease agreement. You know, we lease space from the Village of Wilmette here in this building, and they also lease a little bit of space from us over at Centennial. We knew the lease was in place. We didn't really know a whole lot about what the terms were. We figured that out. It's sort of an evergreen lease at this point with annual increases with CPI, and it pretty much just runs itself, which is why nobody really was up to date on what the lease was. We also talked about what they call a GovHR contract, which Steve talked about earlier, where they're looking at all of our positions and the compensation and the comparisons to other places to make sure we're sort of in the ranges. We're going to get a draft report in early to mid-June, was what we heard at the meeting. Might be new information from then. And I think Steve reported we're going to get the final report sometime in July, so that works great. We also revisited the bond refunding that we looked at in the fall. If you remember, interest rates had dropped. We looked at it. By the time we went to go in the market, the interest rates had risen again. So we kind of held off for a few months, and they started to drop again, and we looked at them again, and they're just not down far enough yet to pull the trigger. So, well, I guess, Steve, you'll keep looking at that. and, we'll go from there. And then the final thing was, we talked about, Steve Wilson has a great financial model that looks ahead several years that we've been using for a lot of what we've been doing, especially with the lakefront. One of the things we asked him to do was do a how might we, and how might we accelerate the roads, the sewers, and the curbs at Gilson, move it up a year instead of doing it in 2021, try and do it in 2020. What would we have to do in order to do that? And just see what it tells us. So Steve's coming back at I believe, the next financial planning meeting with sort of here's how if we were going to do it, here's how we could do it, and what does it look like? So we'll see what happens there.
And is that something that Lakefront would look at also?
Oh, yeah. And we want to see if it's doable first, and then if it is doable, then
it goes to
Lakefront. Yeah, then it goes to
In the
Lakefront.
past, both committees kind of did their work on that in terms of financial and then the actual scope.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's it.
And just to clarify, I have bequeathed the financial model to Mr. Holloway, so
Okay,
he
all
is
right.
now the keeper of the model.
All right.
I've cut the ties with my financial background.
You can run, but you can't hide, Steve.
It'll find me.
Thank you. Any questions for the Financial Planning and Policy Committee? All right, hearing none, we will move along to unfinished business, stormwater update.
So the only update I have for the board, other than kind of what we've already talked about tonight regarding Thornwood and upcoming meetings, is after the last meeting, the comments about the trees at the various parks. I did speak with the Village of Wilmette. They watched our meetings. They heard they've received their own emails. And at a meeting last month, they approved a change order with Christopher Burke Engineering to look at different options across all three parks to see how they can mitigate the impact on trees. They have told me either later this week or next week they should have that first results turned back to them from Christopher Burke. So when we know more, I will report it out.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just for the new commissioners, we'll continue to talk about this, obviously, and get you all up to speed as any information that you need on it so that you're fully informed and feel like you can make good decisions moving forward with all this. So if there's any questions or you need anything from Steve, feel free to reach out to him, and he'll get it for you if he doesn't know it. He's very good about turning that around. But we'll continue to discuss this, and especially after we have our final in the park meeting coming up here, we'll kind of lay into the heavy stuff of talking about all the parks together and how we want to move forward. So we're just kind of in a information period right now. Okay, any other information on stormwater? Anyone have any other comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move to new business. Is there any new business before this board? Okay, hearing none, we're on to adjournment. I move to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Congrats to the new board. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.